past is history, the future mystery. This moment is the gift. Every second.
We are so excited to be with you. It's Dr. Sarah Larsen at UBN Studios. The oldest studio in Hollywood is Sunset Gower. This place, this beautiful land, has made so many movies, and we are miracle makers. Dr. Sarah Larsen here with my miracle maker, very cute husband,
Wow.
Greg Larsen.
Well, it's certainly no miracle to look cute for me, so.
We've been having such a glorious week, and we're so excited to share with you all the ways in which we are making ourselves better in order to formulate better and better shows and content for you. This past week, we were at a conference with Marsha Weeder, and it is magnificent what we learned and what the next few weeks, the tools that we're going to bring to you from that conference and from working with her personally as well.
She is a miracle maker. She's one of our tribe. I love her so much because she balances, bringing in the real world. I'm going to get things done. I'm going to push things forward. I'm going to manifest and create, but really exquisitely balanced with I'm a spiritual and I have depth. So it comes from the heart. Like she says, when she calls out people, it's not from the ego and like putting them down or squashing them. It's from the heart, and it brings them into their higher level right away. So I was just in awe of her ability to hold both spaces so beautifully.
And so that space of holding love for you as the dreamer that you are, and the one that walks in reality. And one of the things that she did from the stage was she held a rubber band, and she said, a lot of times you can take a step in the direction of your reality at one end, or you can take a step towards the direction of your dream. And the direction of your dream is often scary. It's like leaping off without knowing the next step or how it's going to show up. And so we have been taking, and that's steps to always be consistent with our dreams. Quite often, we don't know how it's going to happen. Sometimes we commit money, sometimes we commit energy, sometimes we make commitments to our beloveds, and lo and behold, we take a step by making that commitment. And people that have been hiring me have been having this amazing result in their business because they believe they take a step by making that commitment towards the dream.
That is such a huge point, Miracle Makers, because your reality is that, and it's known because it is what is, and so it seems safe and comfortable, even though it might feel terrible inside, and even though you might know you have a much greater purpose on this planet and a much greater way to give. Because reality is known and safe, it's easy to stay stuck there. So that's what being a miracle maker is looking out towards your dream, towards that greater calling, towards how the universe or life or God is calling you to serve, and taking courageous steps in that direction. And I guarantee you there's a much more meaningful and satisfying life as you do that.
We trust and we have faith in those dreams, and whatever put those dreams in our heart and those wants and those big desires in our heart, we get to express those beautifully by taking step by step, breath by breath. And today we've got in-house, in studio, two of the people that I'm so fond of and so grateful that they exist. They have helped hundreds and hundreds of people at a time in the projects that they work on. Their reach has affected thousands of lives, and thousands of families. And so I'm so excited to bring to you the director of Mindful Warrior Project, Gail Sofer, and one of her leading members of her team, Charlie Pacello. I love you guys so much, and there's so many brilliant things that I could say about the dreams that you've given back to people, the way in which your organization works and what you do is so brilliant, and we're going to share that for the Miracle Makers listening. We're going to talk about mindfulness, how to create peace and joy and cultivate a way of being that's consistent with love. And so, Charlie, I would love for you to introduce the director of Mindful Warrior Project and just share a little bit about her.
Well, it'd be my pleasure to introduce Gail Sofer. She is a remarkable woman. She has been working in the nonprofit world for 20 some years and at least, and she has been dedicating her lives to the veteran cause ever since she heard about the distress in the 22 suicides a day and wanting to reach out and to really make a difference in their lives. And so she formed this nonprofit, the Mindful Warrior Project. And I have been able to the very fortunate opportunity to be able to witness these transformations that occur and hearing these stories. Just one story, for example, there was a veteran who came back to Gail and said to her that, it's because of you I'm still here. And she was like, well, what do you mean? She says, because of the work that we do here. I was in front of a bus and where the person was about to get into a conflict and he had his fist raised up. But because of the mindfulness work that had been doing, that Gail had been doing with him, it was because of that he realized that he didn't have to throw that punch, that he could pull back, and he pulled that punch back and he walked away and he says, because of you, I'm not in jail. Because of you, I'm not in jail. Because of you, I'm alive. And we have these kinds of stories happening all the time. And there is no one more thoughtful and considerate and in remembering people's their birthdays. Some of these guys that we work with are down and distressed and have been beaten down by life. And she always, we work with people down on Skid Row. And so a lot of those guys, they're at the end of the rope. And Gail always comes in with a present, with a remembrance of their birthday, and makes a little celebration. And so just that little thoughtfulness and that love for them right there, they're so they're so grateful for it, and it gives them just they could be down and depressed and feeling sorry, and when Gail does that, it completely changes and makes them feel like that someone cares, and there's no one who cares more than Gail.
That's so
Yay,
beautiful.
we have a professional carer. Yay, woohoo.
You developed an organization that shows there is a better way and that we care. Everyone that comes in and works with Mindful Warriors hires you to come teach or become part of the experience that they're having, then become an extension. By extension, are able to work through you, and it's the little details. Gil, you are so mindful that you make sure you have the details and the subtle energy of love activation by noticing them, by seeing them, by creating what they value. And you have such an accomplishment. You've worked with so many organizations before then as well, before formulating your own. Can you list a few of the organizations that you worked with before?
From the very beginning, it was almost embarrassing, sort of maybe to nudge Charlie and go, I started when I was 10.
Why did I know?
No, this has been a lifelong passion for me. When I was 10 years old, just after my father had passed from cancer, I put on a play in the neighborhood with all the other kids, with one of my sisters and some friends, and the proceeds went to the American Cancer Society. So this goes way back, seeing something and feeling like, I can't pretend I didn't see that. I can't pretend I don't see a need, or that I can't do something about it. And then just going for it. So, just endless organizations, ones that we've presented at recently. The Association of Batterers Intervention Programs, the Institute on Violence, Abuse, and Trauma.
I just saw you at the VA
Yes.
with the Native Americans and the Native American event. They were so grateful. I heard the elders saying, "Thank God you were there, Gail, because you had us think about things other people don't necessarily." This was their best event. They had the best venue, and the Native Americans, as well as the VAs, were all just so grateful that your attention to detail, that your mindfulness, that the pre-staging, the preparation, that those that were presenting their story, that you were thought of, they were thought of their needs and what would comfort them. And so that's so beautiful. I also witnessed, and I was there so proud at Agape International Spiritual Center, where you won this incredible award from Michael Beckwith, Gail, and Mindful Warriors. Can you tell us just a little bit about that, and then we'll introduce Charlie?
Yeah, a lot of times these things come out of the blue at me. I'd like to back up just a tiny bit. My attention to detail has often driven other people crazy. And to me, it's sort of a curse and a blessing, because I see all these things and it can be seen as being critical, but it's just, no, if you can just do this, if we can just shift this a little bit, things won't fall through the cracks. Things will be so much more successful. If we can troubleshoot instead of having, putting out fires, I just like things being smooth and setting a stage for the beauty to happen. And so that's what I can indulge myself in doing. With my own, being my own boss. I'm a very tough boss to work for. But, because I see the stuff and it's like, I really can't pretend I don't see it, because I see it as the boss and as the person who's going to be implementing it. But yeah, it came out of the blue. Someone called and said, "You've been chosen as one of the, it's during their season of nonviolence, which takes place between, I believe it's the anniversary of Mahatma Gandhi's assassination and that of Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, or is it their birthdays? Is it the assassination or the birthdays? Martin, anyway, I'm not sure, but yes. It's so beautiful because you got up on stage and shared the story of 22 men a day losing their lives, veterans, and beautifully the conversation. Everyone present recognized how much you've contributed and how you bring on board members and team members so beautifully. All of you guys went up on stage. And so what had you asked Charlie to be part of this organization? And I'd love for you to introduce Charlie.
Yeah, well, see, the introduction is exactly why, it's like, this is the guy. This is, you want to meet a mindful warrior who's a veteran, who's been through the process. And as an example, here he is. So Charlie and I met, actually it was at one of Dr. Tick's and Kate Dahlsted's retreats with the Soldier's Heart that they were conducting both. And Charlie was just kind of concluding a process that he was going through, very dramatic process at the time. And when I was able to have a preview screening of a film, very powerful film, Corngull, the sequel to Restrepo, I wanted to have a panel, people talking from their own experience, tying what the film portrayed to their own experience and connecting the audience to it. And I called on Charlie, asked, would he be able to speak? And once Charlie opens his mouth, everyone else might as well just back off. He's the most incredibly compelling speaker. And it's
Yes.
not that he's doing a presentation, and we both do this. We don't use PowerPoints, no death by PowerPoint. When people ask us for materials, we have nothing to turn in. We just speak from our experience in our hearts. And so to have Charlie there to talk about his experience as a warrior and his healing process from the trauma that he had experienced to a devastating level was completely natural. And I've never let go of him since. and that's what happens. I mean, Charlie's story is very real. Someone from a veteran family, a military family, going generations back. So he can speak to the generational trauma, the primary trauma, the secondary trauma, and he's done his homework. He's studied. So it's really heavy-duty intellectual understanding, but also personal experience. And that comes across, and that's priceless.
It truly is priceless, and I've experienced a lot of Charlie's work and been so blessed to be part of the organization as coming to witness and being there to see what some of the those that have been helped by the processes. And I really want to share for those that aren't able to come to one of the fabulous events, how do you, so someone is stressed out, they're just wandering in through the doors, they might have lost their family, or they feel so alone because there's no one there other than the dialogue that's happening in their head. How do you start, Charlie? They come in and you can see that they're lost and hurting. What are some of the things and processes that you start with in order to connect with them or in order to give to them in some manner? And there might be someone listening right now.
Yes, and if there is, we're here for you. One of the most important things that we do is we create a safe space, a safe container. And this is a non-judgmental, this is totally a loving space where you can be able to express and be vulnerable and allow yourself permission to experience whatever it is that you're holding back without any judgment. Number two is to really get present into the present moment, because what's ended up happening is you're caught up in your mind, you're caught up in your past and what could have been or what should have been. You're reliving the traumas, you're experiencing flashbacks, whatever it is. And so learning how to get present right now is so critical, because one of the things that was absolutely critical for my healing and for me was to learn how to separate myself from the experiences and the memories and the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions that I had that were clouding me up, that were corrupting me, that were leading me down the path to suicide. And so it wasn't until I got really clear on how to be fully present was I able to start to separate myself. So by learning how to breathe, just focusing on your breath, allowing yourself to breathe in and start to being able to let the breath flow in easily, and then coming out, and then allowing your mind to not be to wander, to let the thoughts come in and then let them go, and recognizing that there's a flow of these thoughts that are neither good nor bad. And Shakespeare talked about that. It's it's our thinking about these thoughts that makes them good or bad. Just allow them to flow and not to get caught up in that, and just start really getting present. And by getting more and more present into what is now, you start to find relief. There's this place that is beyond thought. And I had to explore it. I had to find it for myself. I didn't know if it was true. I was so, in such dire crisis, and I didn't have any other resources other than a mindfulness practice to save my life. And so when I was in absolute crisis, this is what and so I didn't know but that place is there. You start to find it. And then you start wanting to go there because it's a place that's within you that it's always there. It's always peaceful. It's something that is precious, that belongs to each and every one of us. But you have to be able to get present to right now to be able to do that. And so learning that, and then being able to just fully appreciate the value of my own life. For whatever reason, you're still alive. For whatever reason, you're still here. There's a purpose for it. There's a reason behind it. And just keep getting through that next day. You keep working, and you find people who can support you, who've been there, who understand, who know, and can help you to work through those issues so that you can separate yourself from those experiences and feel the miracle that you are. Because eventually you're going to find that it's a miracle that we're breathing. Just
Yes.
breathing in is incredible. So the unconscious, the automatic processes that go on in the body just to inhale that we don't even have to think about. And it's a gift in every moment. We forget it. And so I had to get to that place. And once I started to finally get there, then I said, you know what? I can find a way out of this pain. I can find a way out. Whatever I got to do, whatever it has to be done, I'm going to find my way out of this. And I was in hell. Excuse me. I know this is, I was in, you can't, Dante.
There's no other words for what you are experiencing, and you are the prisoner of your own mind and your own experiences. And when you brought Miracle Makers, what he said is he brought his senses in, and he just began to breathe. And with his breath, with letting go, with just being mindful of the breath, the thoughts began to pass. And his physiological response was no longer just experiencing pain. It was experiencing pain and a breath. Out of the pain and breath came a stillness and a peace that was behind all the emotions and energy, and basically that was the key that unlocked that door to peace. And when you got to peace, you could then begin cultivating through that breathing even more. With being moment to moment awareness, you got into a state of knowing the miracle that you are. And would you say you have a miraculous life now?
Oh my gosh, it's like completely transformed. It is incredible. And and I did have a spiritual practice that was A Course in Miracles. That was the thing that really saved my life, no doubt. We're in our work that we're doing with Mindful Warrior, we want to broaden it. We want to get it to the point so that everybody gets the benefit. It's not leaning in one direction or the other. We're not associating with any religion. We're not associating with any meditative tradition. We want to give you the benefit of what the truth is behind all of that, the essence of it, so that you can have, and wherever you want to go with it, that's up to you. That's your choice. It's your life. It's your heart. It's your soul. But yes, my life has become miraculous. I had no idea 4.5 years ago when I was fighting for my life that I would be doing the things that I'm doing now. It is like, and I have been extraordinarily blessed by the people who have come into my life, and to be able to kind of guide me and show me the way, what I needed to do, and that's I'm very, very grateful for him.
That's so beautiful. Charlie and I met during that dark period. We met at a Marianne Williamson's event, and which Marianne Williamson is a modern day Course in Miracles teacher. And we began working together, and in that process developed an amazing program that's on your website that you also bring into all the mindful work as well. Gail, can you define out mindfulness?
That's a really good one these days, because it's becoming such a common word and applied to so many different things. With this program, I've absolutely customized this to be accessible to a military-connected population. And as Charlie was saying, to just offer the essence, leave off anything that is cultural or would be an obstacle in any way. And in that way, really bridge the gap between those who have served or are connected to them and the population that hasn't served. There's definitely a military culture. And so to make sure that there's nothing that would be an obstacle to something that's so basic and so essential. So the way Mindful Warrior Project defines mindfulness is paying attention with openness, curiosity, non-judgment,
I
and being present.
love the videos on your website. Those are so, so beautiful. One of the early ones describes mindfulness as kindness towards the current moment as well. It's so beautiful to have this experience of being kind. But whatever thought comes, you're kind to that thought. You're open to that thought without becoming identified with the thought. And it's about bringing more and more of your senses online. I had a very traumatic experience myself, and I'd never thought that I would be married or have children. My way out of the trauma was to be of service. And when I met my husband, Greg, he taught me mindful practices the way that Eckhart Tolle teaches. And if you'll just talk about that, just a little bit, mindfulness to you.
It's again, I like to approach it in a very, let's remove all obstacles, because being mindful is like a human. Before religion was born, before, philosophies came about, people gathered in nature and they looked around and they were very present. Mm-hmm. And then, unless there was something like you can look at, cats and dogs, they look very present. Unless there's something in their environment disturbing them, like a real threat, then then they act in a very present way towards that. And I'm assuming humans back in the day did that too. And so, but now there's all these connotations and like obstacles, you could say. And so to remove those, so you can step into this place of just being mindful of this very moment, the aliveness of this moment. And actually, as you enter into your body, which is what meditation teaches, there's a very rich aliveness within. And tuning your attention there instead of on the TV set or the billboard or the honking horns or the screaming kids or the whatever that might be, it draws you out of that. But even though all that stuff on the outside has a vibration, it's not as rich and kind of informing as that vibration within, that aliveness within. So my practice is just tuning into that aliveness within and allowing that to, which is, we had Nassim Haramein on, who's a physicist. He says, turn within, and as you turn within, you begin to affect more powerfully the surrounding area around you. But if you're empowering that around you, you're diminishing your own power within. So very important to notice that.
Two ways in which to be very mindful. One is sensing what's happening on the outside world and how you're experiencing it, the colors, the light. My own mindful, I put up the color red. Every time I saw the color red, I started programming myself with questions. Are you here? Are you present? Where is your mind? Where is your body? Red became my trigger to becoming mindful. That was the outer practice of wherever I was going throughout my day, I had these little triggers. And it was so beautiful because we teach for a while. You can also set it up on your telephone for a timer to go off. And that becomes an external reminder to be present, be in the moment. Bring your awareness to what you're doing right now. Then there's the inner way, which is you set aside a time on a regular basis in which you cultivate the ability to let thoughts go. And so, which is so beautiful because I know you in your programs and what you do and what you offer, the Mindful Warrior Project really truly addresses both the inner and the outer. And so, Gail, I'd love for you to talk about one, and Charlie, I'd love for you to talk about the other one.
Okay.
Well, a very interesting one, that's what we always start with, is just checking in at the beginning. So we go around and we include ourselves with a 2-word check-in. Contrasting with when someone asks you, how you doing or how you feeling, you just kind of go, fine.
Yes.
And there was no real question and there was no real answer. Genuinely take a minute, check in with yourself. What's happening for you right here and now? Tell us your first name and give us the 2 words, just 2 words, no description, just 2 words to describe that. and watching how challenging it is for us to really check in, find what's going on, and express it really simply in just 2 words is how every group starts.
I'd love for us to do that right now. Gail, will you check in? And then Charlie and Greg, and we'll all, and Jarvis, you as well. We'll have you check in, our sound engineer that I'm just so grateful for. Gail, will you check in?
I'm feeling relaxed and grateful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
I'm feeling energized and excited.
Awesome. Jarvis.
I'm feeling loving and passion.
Beautiful. Baby.
Well, sitting next to you, I have to use the word love because you just exude it so powerfully that I feel it so powerfully, and grateful.
Grateful. Awesome. I am just so grateful. And I know it's 2 words, but when I think about where I was born and the war and the terror and the horror that can happen there and the horror that's been happening here, I'm just so grateful, and I feel so humanly alive, if that's one word. I just made it up.
Humanly alive.
Humanly alive. And so beautiful. That's such a great way, and it's a practice that we will probably start doing with our kids to check in. We have a lot of rituals that we do with them, mindful things, but this is incredible and powerful.
It's so simple and basic, but think of, and even if you observe in one day, you're interacting with so many people, and how many people are really asking you what's happening for you right here and right now, and I really want to hear it.
Yes.
So to give someone full attention and acknowledge their presence, that's why even the simplest things we do are so empowering for our veterans and the family members and the service providers, because the nature of serving in the military is putting yourself on the back burner and accomplishing a mission.
Yes.
And no commanding officer is going to go through the troops one by one. How are you feeling? You feel ready for this? We're a unit, we're a team, we're accomplishing this. This is what we're doing, period. And it's a lot of times do or die. So to take back your own power, to honor yourself with your own attention, to see how am I doing without judging it, just being aware and even being kind of surprised. Wow, I didn't realize I was so tense, or I didn't realize I was feeling so sad, and be okay with it. And then have the tools to make a wise choice of what to do about that eventually, but not have to default to a knee-jerk reaction. It's a huge transformation. But in the course of practicing mindfulness, that's what comes about.
That's so beautiful, because it's back to the Nassim Haramein conversation, which is you yourself are checking in with what's happening inside you. And then you're sharing that with another human being that is standing in this place to feel what you're feeling. And so they're offering you the sensation of feeling felt. And you yourself are going in and feeling what you're feeling. That's a heart activation and heart math. But there's 2 people listening actively. And we know now through science, without a doubt, we belong to each other. What sensations you're having are being transmitted out and being felt by the earth, by each other. And so if someone's not checked in or alive or connected with the aliveness within, it can't be felt by those around them. And if you don't give it to yourself, to thine own self be true.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Gail. That was so beautiful. And so, Charlie, I'd love for you to share a practice as well.
One of the practices, one of the important things I think I want to add to that is that the more you do practice mindfulness, we recommend doing it 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes in the evening, so that you're doing it something that it becomes consistent. Like anything else, when you're working out, when you're exercising, it doesn't matter if you're angry, it doesn't matter if you're upset, it doesn't matter if you had a bad day, a good day. It doesn't. If you do it consistently, if I lift weights consistently, you're going to see a result. It's the same thing with mindfulness. It is a practice, and in order to receive truly the benefits of it, you've got to do it on a consistent basis. When you start doing that, you begin to separate your situation. You open up space. This was Viktor Frankl. The more space that I can create between a stimulus and my response to it is my freedom and my growth. And what mindfulness allows you to do is it empowers you. Not only does it give you relief from whatever situation, circumstances, inner wounds, invisible wounds, all these things that are going on the inside, and also the external stimuli that's coming at you and being able to process it accurately and not just being reactive to it. And when you don't need to be reactive. Most of the time, 90% of the time, we don't necessarily need to be reactive to our environment. We're not in a survival situation. We're not in a life-threatening situation. So being able to process it accurately so we don't all become overwhelmed by our emotions and do something we end up regretting later and causing another cycle of trauma and violence and aggression. So it empowers you to be able to be responsible for your own actions. So a stimulus comes in, I'm in tune with that, I'm able to breathe in that situation, and I can choose how I want to respond into this situation, and that's empowering. And the more I get to be able to choose, the stronger I become, the more empowered I become, and the more in alignment with who I am and my true self I become. And so that's one of the incredible benefits of having a consistent mindfulness practice brings you. If for nothing else, it empowers you to be who you truly are, because you get to be responsible for your choices in life. And by doing that to me is like saying
so
ownership.
Beautiful.
Yes.
It's so beautiful. It reminds me of something that's on your website, mindfulwarriorproject.org. It's so beautiful that one of the videos there speaks about a man that was in line, and he was returning from either Iraq or Afghanistan, and there was a woman with just one item in line in front of him, and he's like, oh my God, this woman's in the wrong line, and he was feeling very, very agitated. And the woman with the one item hands over the baby that she's holding in line to the cashier, and the cashier is now playing with this baby, and this man is having such an experience, and he keeps telling himself, breathe, mindful, breathe, just breathe. And he's breathing through this, and even though he's agitated, by the time he comes up to the cashier, instead of the response he might have had, he tells the cashier, looking at the baby that she just held, he said, cute baby. And the cashier says, oh my gosh, I had to go back to work. This is my baby. Thank you. My husband lost his life in the forces just recently, and that's why I'm here. My mom comes in once or twice a day, only with one item, so I can spend time with our baby. And both Greg and I, when we saw this on your website, we were in tears. That man that got taught that practice, breathe, truly is this loving human being. Through having a practice of being mindful, he didn't yell at the baby, the grandmother, or the cashier. He got to be this mindful warrior that he is in line. Even though, and for me, I've had learning mindfulness. I haven't expressed rage at times that in the past would have been triggers. And it's such a beautiful thing. You have resources on your website. You have practices as well that come through, and amazing stories. Gail, why do you do this? You could be doing a lot of things. Your skill set, what you could be doing for organizations, but you choose to work with those that have trauma, some homeless, these incredible situations. What what makes you do this?
Once I heard the stories that I had no idea were life stories of people within my own community, I couldn't not do it. That was kind of the bottom line. Because I would, manage and direct other nonprofits, and I thought, this is kind of ironic that I'm involved in humanitarian aid and peace initiatives, and yet right under my nose, fellow citizens are suffering so badly and finding despair instead of hope, to the extent that they find the only way out is to take their own life. And I didn't even know this was happening. And to hear the rate of 22 veteran suicides every day in the United States, and there are all kinds of debates on, is the number higher, is it lower? I feel it's much higher than that.
Me
Basically,
too.
if you think every hour on the hour, someone is just feeling the only way out is to commit suicide. And to me, that's
yeah.
unacceptable. And here it is right under our noses. And knowing that I could do something about that, both with the nonprofit background and with the mindfulness and wellness modalities. And I tried with other nonprofits and just found, here we go again, my attention to detail. I would find things that's like, I can't really support this way of doing this, or the gap between representation and the actual direct delivery of services. And it kind of came down to this point where it's like, oh, I can't pretend I don't see this, and I know
Yeah.
what it takes to run a nonprofit, but I can't not do it. And
So-
to see the turnarounds, to have people come up and say, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here, and I don't mean in this room. To have families tell me, it was my little girl who did some workshops with you and is kind of saving our family by remembering this. To have a commander of a battalion call in and say, what you taught us over the weekend, I tried at home, and I woke up in the same position I lay down in to try to go to sleep, which is the usual situation, try to sleep. 8 hours later, in the same position, feeling rested and refreshed, and that's the first time that's happened in 30 years.
That's
So to watch
incredible.
these, almost immediate turnarounds in people, finding the immediate relief, people falling asleep in the class, and we tell them, that's fine, that's a compliment.
Yes.
Look, you felt safe enough here to actually try a practice, and there's the sleep and the relaxation that you've been craving.
That's so beautiful, and I'm so glad that you share the story of the little girl who touched her mom's arm and said, "Mom, breathe, just breathe." And the mom got to be with her daughter the way that she wanted to be, rather than the reaction, the knee jerk. Charlie, you brought up Viktor Frankl and the mindfulness, the man's search for meaning in the most horrific of circumstances. The distance that you can get between how you respond to something becomes really, really important as well. And so Gail saw this amazing need, and her response was to create this organization. And you've been part of the organization for a while now. And so I'd love for you to share why you choose this one. You were also with Dr. Edward Tick's organization. Your time, both of you, so valuable. All the different speeches, all the different places that you're hired, all the different organizations that you go and teach mindfulness to. Why do you stay with this one?
Mindfulness saved my life. When I didn't have the resources of the VA. I didn't have. I couldn't go to a psychiatrist. I couldn't go to a psychologist. I couldn't go on to the VA. I had other than honorable conditions discharge as a consequence of the moral trauma and injury that I had received when I was working on the front lines of the nuclear warfare program. And so I didn't have it, and so I had to find something that would. It was either I live or I don't. And
Yeah.
that was it. And so this is why, and it saved my life. And so I feel that it's a responsibility upon me to be able to share this with other people as well, who were in the same places that I'm in, who are in that state of crisis, and that I can at least be able to share that there's a way out, and that you can do it without having to rely on medications. I mean, I'm not here to say that you shouldn't use it, but that there is a way to find out that you can connect to something deeper within you that allows you true freedom and healing and transformation. And this is how you do it. This is where you begin. Yes, I work with Dr. Edward Tick as well. This is where it began. This is how I could begin to process and separate and rebuild. And I had a very complex case, and so it was trying, and so this is where it all began, by getting very clear about what was inside of me. And feeling good about myself again, and being able to love myself again. And that was key. And when I could do that, when I could find that little spark that was so deep within, it was like a candle. It was like, blow. It was like, now you can grow. Just blow.
Yes.
And it'll just keep growing. Now I can. And once I found that within me, then it was just a matter of staying consistent and being and following that. And so I love veterans. I mean, I come from a veteran family. My grandfather and father both served. I served. My families served. That when they came back, they just because my grandfather and father came back, they
beautiful.
still had to deal with those things. And so, and I got a lot of guys that I went just to a recent retreat in Massachusetts, and I hear some of the stories that these guys have been carrying, and it's. I'm honored that they can trust me with that, and I just want everyone to come home, and I know that this is a way that you can do it.
Beautiful, beautiful. We're so grateful for the work that you're doing. We so love mindful practices and this project because it gives the ultimate freedom to veterans, to anyone that's suffered in any shape or form, or anyone that's trapped in their minds. Viktor Frankl, that freedom within your mind, no matter what's happening to you physically, it's through the breathing, through purpose, that we can really get mindful and present with freedom. Freedom is an act, breath by breath, and freedom is a choice in how you're going to show up. And when you cultivate that freedom over and over again through mindfulness, through this thought shall pass, this thought too shall pass, there might be a purpose in what I'm experiencing now. I don't need to know the purpose right now. I just have to breathe. For example, the man in the grocery line, the purpose for him was really, he could see how far he came in that experience as well. Maybe a few weeks before he'd had the practice, he might have been yelling, or he might have been really not who he would have chosen to be. Our language for that is his pain body. He might have been his pain body instead of being available to be present. And what a gift to give the cashier and the baby, a mindful warrior, a vet that did return when her husband didn't return. So just evidence of that right there, of what that experience might have been like. And so we've just got a couple more minutes, and we are so grateful you're here. That we are miracle makers at UBN. Please subscribe to us. Please let us know what you think. We'd love to know more about the topics that you want to cover and hear. This is for you miracle makers that are listening. Baby, is there anything else you want to add?
Well, this is such a powerful journey because, so many situations can put us in that place of despair. Obviously veterans really experience that. And so you have to know that there's resources, there is solutions to those challenges. Taking your life is not being miraculous. And there's so much in the world available to you today that you just have to be able to push through that despair. That's what I'd like to hear more about that one day, Charlie, is how you pushed through that and came to that place of finding Marianne Williamson, Then you found Sarah. Then you found Mindful Warrior. There's a path of healing for you. You just have to push through that despair and reach out and know that the miraculous is available. Those journeys to healing are available. And there's so many beautiful miracle makers out there like Gail and Charlie that can help you. So please, if you're feeling that despair, reach out.
Reach out.
Yeah.
We care. We truly care. We've been there ourselves. And so thank you, Gail. Thank you, Charlie. So grateful. Thank you for Mindful Warrior Projects and Miracle Makers. Thank you for listening and sharing this podcast.
Thank you, Miracle Makers.
The past is history, the future mystery. This moment is the gift.